Most people think expecting the worst means you're negative, or dramatic, or too fragile for real life. Usually it means something else. It means your mind learned, a long time ago, that surprise feels expensive. That being caught off guard hurts more than being tired. So now, before life gets the chance to shock you, your brain tries to arrive there first. Not because you want to live this way, because some part of you decided it was safer. Picture this. Your phone lights up with a message that just says, "Can we talk later?" Nothing else, no context. And suddenly your whole body changes. Your chest tightens. Your thoughts start sprinting. You replay the last few days, scanning for what you missed, what you did wrong, what bad thing is already on its way. Or someone you care about goes quiet for a few hours, and your mind doesn't drift toward neutral explanations, it goes straight to loss, rejection, distance, disaster. It looks like overthinking from the outside. Inside, it feels more like bracing. And that's the first thing worth understanding. People who always expect the worst are usually not trying to be difficult. They're trying to be prepared. Your brain isn't creating darkness for no reason. It's trying to keep you from being blindsided by it. The first layer of this is simple. Your nervous system pays too much attention. Psychologists sometimes call this hypervigilance, but in plain language, it means your mind keeps too many tabs open. It's always scanning for the shift in tone, the delayed reply, the slight change in someone's face, the tiny signal that something is off. Your inner world works like a smoke alarm set just a little too sensitive. It doesn't wait for flames. It reacts to heat. And the reason this pattern gets so strong is because it often works. You do notice things other people miss. You catch tension early. You sense distance before it becomes obvious. You feel the room change before anyone says a word. So the brain learns a dangerous lesson. If scanning helps, scan harder. But that's not the real reason. The deeper layer is that expecting the worst gives you the illusion of control. If you imagine the painful outcome early, then maybe it won't hit as hard when it arrives. If you name the disappointment before life does, maybe you get to keep some dignity. If you rehearse every bad possibility, maybe you won't freeze when one of them becomes real. So your mind starts doing emotional preloading. Before the interview, it imagines failure. Before the relationship is stable, it imagines abandonment. Before the medical result is back, it imagines the diagnosis. Not because you enjoy fear, because some part of you believes unprepared pain is worse than familiar pain. So you choose familiar pain in advance. That's why this trait can feel so confusing. On the surface, it looks like fear. Underneath, it's often strategy. Here's where it gets deeper. For some people, this didn't start with one big traumatic event. It started with unpredictability. A childhood where moods changed fast. A home where love felt warm one day and distant the next. An environment where peace could disappear without warning. You learn very early that safety isn't something you relax into, it's something you monitor. And once your mind learns that, it doesn't just forget, it carries that job into adulthood. So now, even in ordinary moments, your system still acts like it's on watch duty. Even when nothing is technically wrong, your body is listening for the footsteps. Your thoughts are checking the exits. Your emotions are already halfway into tomorrow, trying to solve a problem that hasn't happened yet. Most people misread this completely. They think you're pessimistic because you talk about what could go wrong. But often, you're not committed to bad outcomes. You're committed to never feeling helpless again. That's a very different thing. And there's another layer almost no one talks about. People who expect the worst are often deeply attached people. They care hard. They notice hard. They feel the emotional weather of other people before those people even know how to describe it. When you love, you don't do it casually, which means loss doesn't feel casual either. So of course your mind tries to protect you. Of course it gets suspicious when things feel too good. Of course peace can make you nervous. Because if chaos was familiar, calm can feel unfamiliar. And the human mind would often rather choose familiar pain than unfamiliar peace. That's the contradiction inside this trait. You look guarded, but you feel deeply. You seem negative, but you're actually invested. You expect things to fall apart, not because you don't care, but because you care enough to fear the collapse before it comes. And that's why this pattern can be so lonely. Other people only see the outside behavior, the caution, the second guessing, the way you ask, "Are you sure?" more than once. They don't see the tenderness underneath it. They don't see that your mind is trying, in its own exhausting way, to protect something soft. But this is also where the pattern can start turning against you. Because when your brain rehearses pain too often, it stops letting you fully live in the good moments that are actually here. You start grieving things before they're gone. You start doubting people before they've hurt you. You start pulling away from joy, not because it isn't real, but because it feels risky to trust. And that's the danger. Not that you see what could go wrong, but that you start relating to possibility as if it's already fate. You're not weak for doing this. You're not broken. You're not impossible to love. Your mind is just trying to solve uncertainty the only way it learned how, by predicting, preparing, and preventing. The problem is, life doesn't always let itself be prevented. Some things have to be lived, not pre-survived. And maybe that's the gentlest reframe here. The goal is not to become someone who never thinks ahead. That's not realistic, and it's not even necessary. The goal is to notice when your protection has become your prison. To notice when your mind is forecasting pain so often that it forgets to notice safety. Because sometimes, the worst thing isn't what happens. It's how long you suffered before anything happened at all. You are not too much for expecting the worst. You are someone whose inner world learned to stay awake, someone who adapted, someone who got very good at scanning the horizon. And maybe now, little by little, you're allowed to learn that not every quiet moment is the calm before something bad. Sometimes it's just peace. Sometimes nothing is wrong. Sometimes the room is quiet because the room is finally quiet. If this felt uncomfortably familiar, leave a black dot in the comments. And if this trait shows up in you, the next thing worth understanding is why your mind replays conversations long after they end. Because for people like you, it's usually not just overthinking. It's something deeper.